Stewart! Yes! And surely that's the goal!
Good evening, everybody. You join us as Sunderland have romped to a 1-0 victory over the Hull City Tigers. We didn't get mauled off the Tiger nonsense this week. We're all here, and it's just after full time. So we've got Mark, we've got Lee, we've got Anth. Fellas, how are we all doing?
3 cheers for Bobby Madley.
And then we're going to come on to that. The Hull fans are very, very upset with good old Robert Madley. They are not too pleased with him, but you know, all he did was stand in front of their player who was desperately trying to defend. So you know, wasn't that much of an advantage, was it? Anything you'd like? Any sort of standout performances? Anything that concerned you, fellas, as we start off?
Yeah, it was a really boring game, wasn't it? We've all just set off air there, didn't we? Like it was like watching paint dry, especially first half. And it didn't really go the way everyone thought it would after like the pre-game. I think everyone was talking about like how Hull play out from the back, how against our press that's going to be very dangerous, but we didn't really press them. And I think both teams gave each other quite a lot of space, but then again, neither team did anything with that space. So it was going to be something like that. It was going to be either a worldie or a really contentious goal that was going to win the game, I thought, for either side.
First 15 minutes we did press, but we just seemed to drop off. We started playing through us a little bit as the first half went on, and then second half the press was non-existent. But I mean, generally they just had a really poor game. But Wilson took his score really, really well. Like regardless of what the referee was doing or his involvement, it was unbelievable that goal. Like really, really good.
It's good quite with the win because last year we probably would have lost that in the same manner that we won it.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I think, you know, the sign of a side who are doing well is you play mediocre and you still come away with a win. And actually, I thought the first half we were very, very good. The first half hour, I thought we need to capitalise, get that goal. As it happens, the second half, Hull were probably the better side until the game turned on its head.
Yeah, we didn't really start very well second half. It was all Hull, I would say, up until we scored, basically. All the possession we had, we didn't really do anything with it. I thought like everything was going through Paddy Roberts. Like I forgot Mundell was playing at one point, but Paddy Roberts was just like, I think we all said in the chat, didn't we? Like a one-trick pony. Like it was so predictable, so easy for them to manage.
What I wrote in my notes was Mundell trying too hard, Paddy Roberts one-trick pony, like you just said.
It was tough. Like this there, that drama he was playing left back. He's a good player. I remember seeing him. He was on loan at Luton. The season Luton went up. He's a really good player. Like, and they were doubling up on him. So it was a tough game for the wingers. I thought Job in the middle was absolutely unbelievable. Like he's not going to be with us for long. He's an absolute monster.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Every time Job gets the ball, I say to myself, he'll either win a free kick or he'll find a man. That's all he sees. That's like his default.
Credit to Dan Neil as well, mind. I thought, like you're saying about Job, I thought Dan Neil was every bit as good as Job. Especially second half, like when we were hanging on to that lead when it was 1-0, like there was a lot of times he kind of picked the ball up just on the edge of his box and like he drove at them and like got us like 10, 15 yards further up the pitch, which like say last year he'd have lost that ball there and we'd have been on the back foot. So
yeah, I think the difference is like obviously Daniel he was good, but I think the difference from Joe in Joe from last season to this, it's pretty scary. Like he's absolutely unbelievable.
Took it up a notch, hasn't he? He looks like a Premier League player, to be honest. I think I'm pleased for Dan Neil, particularly just to touch on him again because he's been getting a little bit of stick. He's been a little bit out of form, and I'm hoping that this is sort of the light at the end of the tunnel for him. He was solid today, and hopefully that's sort of the questionable performances put behind him. I was very pleased when they cut back on Sky to Curtis Davies in the studio. The band's a little bit upset, you know. He talks a lot of shit about Sunderland and the fans whenever we're on the telly. And when they asked him about, you know, what happened with Bobby Madley, he was surprisingly gracious in that he said, you know, Wilson Isidore still had a lot to do, but the referee was in the wrong position and blah, 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 blah. So let's get on to that. What did we think of Bobby Madley's performance?
Well, to be honest, I mean, there was 2 or 3 times in the game where he just didn't move out the way of the ball and he had to give a drop ball each time. But to be honest, had he done that in that particular passage of play, it would have worked out better for him because he would have had to stop the game. So he didn't actually get in the way of the ball. He just got in the way of their man, I suppose, and stopped him from getting the ball. But like you say, Isidore's had a lot of work to do. I thought he'd messed the chance up. I thought there was a point where he was kind of running too fast, where he tried to slow himself down. I thought, oh, he's left the ball here, he's got it stuck under his feet. But what composure it was for that finish, man! Absolutely out of this world.
I thought Bobby Madley had some good touches that game. Like,
to be fair, the referee got in the way of our play more than he did Hull's. It just happened to be that at one time he got in the way of the Hull centre half was the time we scored.
Well, there was the point where he did it after our goal. He got in the way again, and even at that point, like the camera zoomed in on him, he had his hands up there, just going, "Look, I know, I'm sorry."
I think from a refereeing perspective, it's a pretty poor performance from him. To be honest, you can't like actively affect the passage of play once in a game, never mind 3 times.
Yeah. Well, I think it would be very interesting to see like what Howard Webb or whoever would make of that performance, because it's a funny one.
PGM all.
Yeah, it's a funny one, Bobby Madley, because he was a Premier League referee for years, wasn't he? And then he obviously got put on a
controversy around him.
Yeah, but I think
minor indiscretion.
Yeah, but to be fair though, like I put in the group chat, I don't know whether I've dreamed this or whether I'm getting confused with Keith Lard from Phoenix Knights, but I remember vividly there was a rumor that Bobby Madley had bummed a dog, and that's why we weren't seeing him refereeing anymore. So make of that what you will.
Well, let us tell you, today he's bummed a tiger. Well done, Bobby Madley. One thing I'd like to bring up just whilst we're on it is how much of a disgrace do you find that whole city sing "Wise Men Say"? I hate that.
Oh, it's our song.
I think it helps us though. I think it G's us up because, like you say, it's our song, and when they obviously play it before kickoff, it gets the fans going, and we do have a good record down there, like so.
Well, did you notice before?
That's because full of shit. That's sort of shit, not because of the song.
One player I'd like to talk about who I thought was quite poor was Patrick Roberts. I don't know if I'm being harsh by saying he was poor. Maybe that is a little bit strong, but it feels like this is Paddy Roberts' make or break season, and his performances just aren't quite doing enough for me. Not quite. I don't know what you think.
I think he started the season very, very well. Like I say, he was chipping in with assists straight away. But I think the season goes on and he's not scoring. I think it's just starting to, like I said, we've said for weeks, he's a confidence player. And you can see it's just starting to play on his mind because he can't even get a shot away at the minute.
I think it was a tough game for him. I don't want to be too harsh on him like that. Let's say they were doubling up on him all game. No one was particularly good today, other than the obviously Job and Meffam who stood out for me. But I think it'd be a bit harsh to have going on about a day like.
You said before, Dan, like that Paddy Roberts is either it gives you like a 10 out of 10 or like a 4 or 5 out of 10. And I suppose there's 2 ways you can look at it. You can look at it and say, well, like he keeps going. Like, do you know what I mean? He still drives at his fullback and he still tries to sort of like, do what's expected of him. But yeah, today was just one of those games where like he would beat his man and then he would come back. And it's like, well, you've done it once, like get your shot away or, put the ball across the box. And there's games like today where he just doesn't do that enough for me, and it's a bit of a waste.
I just wish he'd do something other than drop the shoulder on the left and try and cut inside. Like I just wish he offered a little bit more. But when he does deliver performances like today, he just looks like quite limited. And we all know he's not. But what goes on with Paddy Roberts that he can't sort of unlock that further potential on a consistent basis? Let's talk about Wilson Isidore. You sort of, I'm tempted to say like he is the answer to our striker problems. I mean, what's that he's got now? 3 goals?
3 and 4,
yeah.
3 and 4.
Sorry.
Like you can't argue with that return. Like I know we've banged on about strikers for ages, and now all of a sudden we have an abundance.
I think he's equalled the tally of goals that all of our strikers not mistaken. I think Royston got 2 and Burstow got 1. Might be wrong, but like you said, obviously he's just come in, moved from Russia, and I mean that goal alone today shows you the kind of player we've got on our hands.
It was no small feat that he managed to score from where he did. And I know you can say the argument, well, he just had to outpace him, I guess, but it's the composure at the end, just the little dink was lovely. Like
I think that drama catches up with him, and he goes to pull a challenge, and then he just slows down and he speeds back up. It's when he's away and he just dinks it over the top of him.
Yeah, it's that change of speed. Like I say, I thought he'd like at that point. I was like, oh, he's going to get the ball stuck in his feet here, but he didn't. Like he was like shit hot, really. But before that, like I thought it was probably it's going to sound harsh to say it because I wouldn't say he had a bad game, but it was probably his worst game today for Sunderland. Isidore. I didn't think he really offered much. So, like say, his goal came and it's kind of got him out of jail a bit. But I was crying to get Connolly on just before the goal. Like I don't know about yous.
I said the same in the group, didn't I? I think it was a bit isolated, and I just think we needed something a little bit different up front. But I shut us up in it.
More than happy to have be eating my words. One thing I was really disappointed for, I feel sorry for little old Mason Burstow. Can't even get a start for Hull City.
I still had that kind of thought in the back of my head though, and I think Hull fans probably had it about Aaron Connolly. Like he was going to come on and haunt us. Like how many times has that happened with Sunderland, especially ex-striker comes back to haunt us? Connor Wickham, Danny Graham.
It's a typical sort of Sunderland thing. Here's something I want to mention. Did you know that there's a missing person being found in Sunderland by the name of Adil Ashish?
Fucking hell, I was like, where's he going with this? Like, why is he why has he stopped the podcast dead in its tracks to announce this?
This is now a crime podcast, and I'd like to welcome our first guest speaker, We're Side Jack.
Hello, it is me.
I have the greatest respect for you, Detective Inspector.
This was an impression. We're Side Jack is not affiliated with Sensible Sunderland.
Ashish was on the bench, obviously an unused substitute, but he sort of, I don't even know why I brought him up. I think it's just because I was looking at the teams there and I've noticed him because, all these rumours about Libris and him not getting on, but there he was. Not that there's ever going to be a place from ever again, mind.
I'll tell you what it speaks like more volumes for though. Where the fuck's Abdullah Bar? Yeah, like, you know what I mean? If he's putting a sheet on, even though he cannot stand the bloke, like, it makes you think, like, where does Bar stand at Sunderland, like?
Abdullah Bar's just got a nice little job now filling up the vending machines at the Academy of Light. For a bit of use. What did you think of Hull City as a side? I actually thought when the second half started, we looked a little bit lackluster. I thought these might Pip us here, actually.
No cutting edge, really, which is why they are where they are, I suppose.
And like I say, it speaks volumes about like the turnover of players that they had in the summer. I think they sold or like traded 24 players. Like that's an incredible amount for a team that were nearly there last season. But we know it was financial restrictions that made them do it.
They shouldn't have sat Rosini, should they? They'd have probably been doing a lot better if they'd kept him. Because they have got some basic players to sign that Liam Miller, didn't they, from Preston? I wanted him at Sunderland, really.
Yeah.
It was class at Preston last season.
He just looks like if someone would give like Pritchard some like growth hormone tablets, because he's just like a bigger version of Alex Pritchard.
Tell you I was getting up the wick, mind. There, Gaffer.
Oh, yes. That was just what to bring him up.
Never off the screen, was he?
He's got that Jurgen Klopp arrogant sneer about his face, to be honest.
We got booed at the end.
Rightly so. It also knocks us that he sounds like the Martian of Looney Tunes. Sunderland should not have had to go stand. Fuck off, honestly, man. And I don't know what it is, but it just seems to be German managers. Farke is the same. Klopp was notorious for it, and now whatever you call the whole manager, I didn't even get his name.
I couldn't tell you his name.
Couldn't tell you.
I don't even think it's just. I don't even think it's just the German managers. Like I look at even like Arteta and it's this whole thing of like Pep and modern managers now. They all try and be like outspoken and like animated on the sidelines, and it's like, what are you actually doing though? Like what is that actually bringing to your team?
Who's that kid fat one? Drew Barton had a pop about.
Evans.
Steve Evans.
He's the worst. He's Scottish, or
he's a battered miles by way from a cardiac arrest. Him though, like we can let him
on. Steve Evans. I'm pretty sure he's Scottish. He is. I have schools in there. He is. I tell you what I like about Steve Evans is he has the look of a man who like recently retired from his job giving safety talks in school because he was flushed out as being a paedophile.
He's the sort of would like take his son his dinner on the pog while he's having a shit in it. Radiator and like eat it while he's having a shite.
He'd be like dipping McCoys into the mash. He's pretty disgusting. Like, just looking there at the comments from Libris Sky. Can you understand why Hull are unhappy, Regis? Not really.
He's right. Right? He is right.
He is right. Absolutely.
I think they're overreacting, mate. I really do. Like,
I do.
like they play messes about on the ball, which allows Dan Nail to tackle them, and then Drama has every chance to get back to Wilson. So I think they're overreacting.
Luke 09 in his post-match comments as well says Wilson is that fast, nobody's catching him.
I mean, he was actually caught by a Drama, so
so what you're saying is Luke 09's a buffoon.
I'll just say it's factually incorrect, but I like him. He's a good player.
But sometimes when we're recording a podcast, especially after we've won, I treat myself to go into sort of the full-time result that like the club we've beaten post. So like Hull's, for example, defeat at the MKM today. Top comments. Bobby Madley has form for this, but 10 players up for a corner in regular time at 0-0 is always asking for trouble.
He's right.
Fair point.
Jake SAFC said, cheers, lads. Now stop singing our song, you weird freaks. So Hull City deserved a point. No chance Sunderland go up playing like that. There's no need for that, is there? You sound a little bit bitter if you don't mind us saying.
Do you know what? I'm loving this. Like Leeds were the same. Every team we beat seemed to love telling us that we're not good enough to go up. And like maybe, who knows where we're going to finish. But at the end of the day, we're 10 games in. We all said, let's get the 10-game mark to see where we're at. We're top of the league still. Like, let's just keep going.
No, I say I thought like for me, like obviously the game was kind of boring today, but like I love results like that. They're the exact that's the exact sort of result that gets you promoted.
Exactly.
Like Alex Ferguson made a career out of that type of result. Like his Man United sides, they won how many games? 1-0. It was so many. That's exactly what we need. And like getting late draws against Leeds and stuff like that. That's exactly what we need to go.
No, that's exactly right. He's somebody I want to talk about who I thought was absolutely brilliant, despite giving away. Well, not giving away, but should have given away a penalty, a handball, and a red card. Chris Metten.
To be honest, though, it wasn't. I thought it was a penalty, but they said at half time it was. If it had been given, it would have been given as a free kick just outside the box, apparently.
Yeah, it was outside the box.
It was blatant handball.
Outside the box.
I think if fair enough, that if that had been sort of the other way around, I would have been pretty put out, because. That, to me, it was a blatant handball. But other than that, his performance defensively is top-notch every week.
Yeah, I thought he was older than he actually is. Like, the way he plays. I only found out today on the comms that he's 26. I thought he was, like, sort of 30, 31. Just, like, he seems to be so experienced and composed on the ball. And he's, like, deceptively quick as well. The ground he seems to make up as well to get across sometimes. It's, like, it's insane.
Has his loan got an option to buy in it?
No, I don't think it does.
I've got a feeling his contract might be up the end of the season, though.
There's something, isn't there? There's something like that.
I think it was that to do. Like I say, let's hope that there's no recall clause in there in January or whatever. I would hear him like through the season, the way he's been playing.
I feel a little bit sorry for Ballard, but he doesn't have a place on the side at the minute.
He needs a time. I'm pleased in the way because he needs a time to just recover. Like he's got to get fit, and he's got to get fit to stay fit. Which I think rush him back, and then within 2 or 3 weeks he's injured again. So it'll do him a lot of good. I think, for a time out.
I know, obviously, like our blatant issue at the minute, I think, is the lack of cover for the fullbacks. But I can't remember a time where we've had such competent centre halves. Like anyone who comes in, like you're not worried. Like, obviously, 09, Alessi, Ballard, Mepham. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so, like, reassured to know that we've got that cover.
I was just going to say, I'm looking at the table now, and obviously we're sitting back at the top, and we talked sort of during the summer that, we'll sort of see where we are after 10 games and then we'll make a judgment. Can we make a judgment now? Because I don't know if it's just me being like a typical anxious Sunderland fan, but I just feel like I'm waiting for the house of cards to fall down. But, 10 games with 22 points in, won 7 matches, lost 2, drew 1. Brilliant goal difference. We're sitting pretty there.
Yeah, the thing is, like, what we've got to remember is the House of Cards will inevitably fall down, but it'll not be till we've got like 3 games to go and a 9 point lead. So just enjoy it until we get to that point in the season, really. Let's just, enjoy the ride.
Here's something I'd also like to ask, and I don't know what it is because I've forgotten. You might have to take this bit out. I had something and then it totally went because I've got crippling ADHD.
We're sharp on this podcast, aren't we? We are shit hot.
I was like, I'll tell you what happened was because I was looking through like the stats and statistics of the game on Google, and then I had a question, and then as I was getting ready to formulate it verbally, I looked at Sunderland nicknames and I seen the Cool Cats again. So it made us laugh. Hang on, let's get me little question back up. Where are we at there? Right, Huggins' new contract. That was it.
I do think it is a good idea to give him a contract, but I don't know how long I would have given him because of his injury. Like I think I might have maybe given him a year with a club option for another year, just because of his injury. Like I say, I mean, he's probably 20 games by the time he's laid up with like multiple ankle injuries. So this one I am a bit concerned about.
It will be heavily stacked in the club's favour, though, that deal. Like, I don't know, obviously, what all the ins and outs, but I imagine it'll be similar to what we gave Corey Evans and what we gave, who was the other one? Centre half, and Willis. What was his name? Was it
Jordan Willis?
Jordan Willis.
That was it. Yeah, it'll be something. So it'll be no there'll be no loss to the club. It'll just be something where you're earning less than what you would be, but there'll be something where there'll be like bonuses if you get yourself fit and you play X amount of games. So it'll be kind of like, it'll probably give them that incentive to try and get fit quicker. So yeah, I think it could be canny business for the club, like, because when he is fit, there's no question he is a good fullback, like, definitely.
I think he's an alright fullback. I don't really see him playing for us much more, if I'm being honest. But it's absolutely the right thing to do. It's nice to see the club looking after the players because it's going to reflect well around the like professional players circle altogether, like the Sunderland club that looks after you. So no, definitely the right decision, and I hope he gets back fit. And I hope we do see him play the game. But the way we're moving on, I'm not sure if we'll get in the team.
I mean, I like Huggins, but I think the fact of the matter is he just doesn't have quite as much quality as what we probably need, and I think this ties into something that I want to ask as well, because we're sitting top and we're doing very, very well after 10 games. I'm a little bit worried about January now.
Why?
I'm not,
I'm not worried at all,
I get why people are. Yeah, I do get why people are, because people think we're like going to get poached. But I think we hold all the cards, really. Like, the ball's in our court. Like, we shouldn't find it difficult to give players a reason to stay at Sunderland, especially like people like Chris Rigg and Dan Neil. And even in terms of attracting players to like sort of fine tune us a bit and like get us over the line, like that's we're in a really good position. Like,
I totally agree. I think like really, really strong position. I think Speakman said a few weeks ago, didn't we? Like, we offer so many non-cash benefits, and that's why we are keeping these young lads who's they're playing loads of minutes. And I think if we're in a similar position in January, why would anyone want to leave? I think it's only going to attract better players. So no, long may it continue.
If anybody comes in January for, say, Chris Rigg or Joe Bellingham, they're going to be paying exorbitant amounts of money for them.
So that's me worry. Like, but let's say, I think, and I know we can talk about the Jack Clark money, but I think we all thought exactly what you've just said there in the summer. Well, Jack Clark will get 35 million for Jack Clark, and what we didn't go anywhere near it. So I think if good money comes for the likes of Joe Bellingham and Chris Rigg, I worry that the club will be inclined to accept it.
I'll say now January is the wrong time. January is the impact signings, and these lads they're all development players, really, especially in higher leagues. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to sign Chris to come in and keep you up in the Premier League. Like, he's not at that level yet. Joe probably isn't either. So January, I'm not concerned about it. But next summer will be tough unless we get promoted. But January, I'm not one bit concerned about.
I hope you're right. Just before we move on to some Twitter questions, we'll quickly go through sort of the team and just let us know what you thought. Anthony Patterson obviously didn't have much to do. He did make a good save from Dennis Cirkin, thunder bastard of a tackle, like.
Yeah, solid eye, like had now to do, but sometimes when you've got now to do, you always get caught out. So good to see that he wasn't really. He was always on his toes.
It's a good 6, 7 out of 10, wasn't he? Spot on. That's what you want from your keeper.
I was just going to say, I think he has been all season except the Plymouth howler. The rest of it, he's been solid. Like, he's shot stopping. He keeps going from strength to strength.
I agree. Try Hume.
Much improved today, I thought.
I agree.
He was pushing forward a lot, which meant he got caught out defensively a little bit. But obviously, if that's the way we're playing, then that's going to happen, innit? We've just got to accept it.
That's right. Chris Metham, I don't really think we need to even talk about him. Lovely Luke O'Nien.
Solid, wasn't he?
Great understanding there between him and Metham, like, isn't there? You'd think they've been playing together 3 years, somewhat.
Yeah, I'd give Metham a 9. He's probably my man of the match. And Luke would get an 8.
I think this is the thing with O'Nien, though, that it doesn't matter who he plays with. We've always thought that he needed like a better player alongside him, and he's now proven that regardless of who plays with him, he's had Alessi, Ballard, and Metham play alongside him this season, and with every one of them, he's looked more than a centre back.
Do you think though we'll ever get to a point where he doesn't make you panic? I think we'll always have that with Luke O'Nien. You know, like there's times where on the ball he's always quite composed, but he always makes it look like he's in a spot of bother. So the amount of
what you're
times
saying
my
is
heart's in my mouth.
Luke O'Nien makes playing football look really, really difficult.
Like, don't get us wrong, he's good at it. He can do it, the lad, but he just makes it look more difficult than it needs to be sometimes.
To me, he just feels like a modern day Nyron.
Don't you ever? There will never be another one quite like Nyron.
At the risk of upsetting
until Luke O'Nien gives a corner away from inside the opposition half, then no question, no debate.
Or does a Cruyff term and Cristiano Ronaldo's bearing down on you? On your own 18-yard line.
Was when he just picked the ball up. When Gerrard ran towards him, he just panicked and picked the ball
up. Johnny, get the ball past Naira. Dennis Cirkin, just touch of class, isn't he?
Aye.
Yeah.
7 or 8.
Yeah, no doubt. Dan Neil, a lot better, I think we said earlier.
I'll give him an 8 just on the basis of it was such an improvement from the previous couple of weeks.
It's a strong 7.
Yeah.
Job, just a beast, isn't he?
8 or 9 for me. Like,
I give him an 8.
He was unlucky not to score, actually, Job Bellingham.
That shot, well, that was probably our only real chance in the first half, wasn't it?
Well, Try Hume went through, though, didn't he? I thought Hume should have done
that. He should have hit the target, like. Paddy Roberts, we've spent time talking about. There's a little bit Twitter question about Patrick Roberts, so I'll save that. Chris Rigg is just maturity beyond his years, isn't he?
I loved his Megs.
Yeah.
Remain Mundell for me. I just thought he tried a little bit too hard today.
Yeah, quiet, but he did still get past his man once or twice, which, fair enough. So I'll probably give him a 7.
And Wilson Isidore.
I think you've got to give it 8 just for the goal, haven't you?
Yeah, very quiet game until the goal.
And to be fair, the lad, he ran 75 yards or something and scored, so it's got to be worth some money on it. Aaron Connolly as well, obviously he's opened up about his struggles with a sort of alcohol during the international break. It was nice for him to come on, and I did notice that Sunderland fans had given him the moniker of the David Connolly chant.
That's probably done him a favour in terms of goodwill that he's going to have from the fans. Like, I think everyone said the same after that interview, like they're willing them to do well now. Because I remember when we signed him, there was a few people a bit like with his attitude and his record, they were like, oh, like, is he really what we need? So I think that's definitely getting everybody on side with him. Like,
with him as well, I think it makes him a bit more relatable. Like, everybody looks at him, he's that bit more human rather than all these like megastars like Ronaldo. He's no different to any of us. Like, the addiction can happen to anybody. So yeah, I really want him to succeed here now.
And he's in the right place for it as well. As long as he applies himself, then everyone will get behind him.
No doubt that's one thing that you're guaranteed at Sunderland is we just love a trier, don't we? Unless you're called Abdul Bar.
In which case, get out!
Chaos.
Right. Very quickly, in the order of Lee, Mark, Amph, give us your man of the match.
I'm going to go for Meffam. I just thought he read the game so well and he cut out everything that come towards us. So for me, he gets my vote.
I definitely met him with Job just behind him.
Yeah, Meffin for me as well.
Bobby Madley for me. I can't believe none of you made that joke before I did. I felt certain Ant was going to do it because I've seen he's a sharp shite. He'll see it. No, joke aside, I think Meffam as well. Just he ran the game. Okay, let's jump into some Twitter questions. There's not a huge amount tonight. I appreciate them. We put the post out literally at full time, by which point most people are probably 8 pints deep. However, there is a couple. Andy Coyles, hiya Andy. He asks, 10 games in, we're top of the league. Are we title contenders?
Yeah, you'd have to say now.
I still don't think we are, and I don't know if it's just me being extra cautious, just the nature of being a Sunderland fan or what, but I'm frightened, okay? I admit
it. Not used to these nice things.
No, we definitely are. We're winning games in a totally different way that we did to the ones we did last season. So there's no reason why we can't keep this going.
I think our defence alone allows us to be title contenders. Like I say, yes, we've had the odd slip up and we've made mistakes, but for the majority of the season, we've been solid at the back. So, like I say, look at the clean sheets that we've kept so far. So for me, we're up there.
And the thing is, I get what Dan's saying about like it's Sunderland. Like, I think we're all emotionally scarred because of this club. But like, take your Sunderland head off for a bit, and just think like last season, you'd be watching like Ipswich and that doing this. You'd be going, "By Ipswich are flying, aren't they?" You know what I mean? Like, so we've got to think like that as well. We've got to carry that momentum and that positivity forward. Like,
well, I'm trying my best. All right.
I think there's some like proper cool and calm heads at the club, and like obviously we've spoken about them in the past about like not liking this one or that one, but the reality is I think that there's a detachment from emotion, isn't there, that we obviously don't have. So I think it's really good, and Libre's been in class as well.
Yeah, I really like Libris. He's like exactly what Mark said there. He's just like he's the epitome of calm, and that's massive from a manager, especially when you're handling a group of young lads. And I'm going to whisper this quietly just to caveat what Mark said, but I think I like Speakman. I like Christian Speakman.
Well, I never.
I listened to him on the second tier podcast, and he's the guy's just a robot, and I think that's what Sunderland need.
Our Dan's a right shit house, and he slagged Drew off all season. He's slagged off all season. I was licking their asses because we do well.
Hang on. I admit I've got me tongue firmly lodged in Bellingham's ring piece, but not Speakman's just yet.
No, I think credit's due.
Yeah,
exactly. I think that's probably what I'm trying to say. Exactly.
Yeah. Like you say, Speakman, I mean, he's had a really good summer. I mean, we still haven't even seen half of these players that he brought in. Alexis, we've seen little flashes of. I think he had like a substitute appearance before the international break. Samed, we still haven't seen. But from what we have seen from the players who have played, like Meffam, for example, like night and day from what we saw last summer, sorry. So
I think this is what gives me a bit of confidence. I think Fishbase put on there was 8 players out today, 8 players injured.
Yeah,
and like when we get all first teamers back, like, do you know what I mean? We've got proper depth in the squad. So no, I'm over the moon, mate.
I'm over the moon, mate. All right. me beating his chest. I'm over the moon. Fucking Brexit.
Don't get started on Thomas Tuchel.
Don't mention the war. I mentioned it once, but I think I got away with it all right.
I think going back just certain bound, like Libri, like none of us were particularly inspired by it. I think some of us were just like, oh, we'll get behind him because he's a Sunderland coach, but I think he's proved a lot of doubters wrong, and like Speakman's responsible for that. So again, credit where credit's due.
Mm-hmm. And above all of that, Speakman's managed to engineer a transfer for Hamia Semedo. So
We got money for that.
Yeah, were you firmly pissed on the old lady of Turin by like selling him? You know what I mean? So yeah. Andrew Verdi and Andrew. He asks, do we start with Watson instead of Roberts? I love Paddy Roberts, but his end product is becoming less and less. If you don't mind, I'll answer that first. Just in that, I wouldn't want to see Roberts dropped just yet, but I definitely do want to see more of Tommy Watson. So it's a tough one, that.
I do, but is it Luton on Wednesday night? I wouldn't bring him in against Luton. Like, I know they haven't been great, but he picked up on Saturday, got a win over Watford. It's a tough place to go, that. And like, I just think for a young kid, like, I think it might be a bit too physical for him. Like, I'd like to see him play maybe on Saturday though against Oxford.
He definitely needs more minutes. I don't know if he's quite ready to start yet, and I'm definitely not ready to give up on Paddy Roberts yet. Like, but I would like to see him starting to make more sub appearances. Like,
the only thing with Tommy Watson is, and he's undoubtedly talented. There's a lot to say why he's the Jack Clark regen, all the rest of it. I also, whenever I do see him come on, like, do you know what I mean? If I say, like, sometimes players still have that like academy sheen about them, like the sort of they still play.
The raw.
Aye, like they don't do anything particularly dramatic or whatever, but they'll just play like neat and tidy like they would in academies, rather than like no flamboyance whatsoever sort of thing.
Yeah, like it's. Are you meaning that in like a good way, or like
a good and a bad? I guess. I guess it's good and it's bad.
I think he's the sort of player we need later on in the game, because he's like he'll the ball and he'll carry it. So like I definitely think there's a place for him like coming on with like 10 minutes to go and all that, but. No, give him a chance. Like Reggie's had a chance. Do you know what I mean? We've got some good players coming through.
He's a left winger, isn't he? So realistically, you've got to shuffle the deck a bit. Either put Mundell out on the right.
Tell you what, though, it's nice problems to have, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he went out of school.
Stop Abdullah-Bar, we're all right, haven't we? Really, that's what we've got to stay away from.
Why we would have had Paveda.
Yeah, if he wasn't
Leon Lalonde. Yeah. Tommy Watson went out of school.
Aye. He went to school. Oh, no.
Yeah, he's from Horden, I think.
No, he's from Asian. No, he lives
his uncle.
He lives at the top of our road street now.
Fair play. Well, I'll tell you what, fair play, because the last Sunderland player that came out of Easington was absolutely terrific. And that's all we'll be talking about. We're not allowed to mention his name on the podcast. Hey, 3 cheers for Adam Johnson.
Don't say the name.
No.
I said Adam Johnson once, and I think I got away with it.
Oh, it's funny that whatever you do, don't mention AJ11.
Fuck me.
So stupid, honestly. Right, so there's some lovely comments and stuff. So thank you for everybody for getting in touch. But we best wrap it up. We'll finish with Paul Jackson's question. He's going for a celebratory takeaway. Does he get Chinese or Indian? And if you'd allow me to answer that, I think, providing, Paul, you don't have any reason to be bent over near the toilet in crippling agony for the next 3 days, then you get yourselves an Indian, son. Oh dear. Right, everybody, thanks very much for listening. We do appreciate it. Do give us a review. I'm still laughing because of how grotesque that got towards the end. So thanks everybody, and we'll probably be back after Luton, and we promise we won't mention them again. We promise. Right, that is the end of the podcast. Goodbye.
See you later, everyone.
Ta-da.
I don't know where my head lies. It's all alone. Nice goal. Sensation. When we'll be there, I don't know. When we'll get there, I am certain. All is I am on my way. I'm the dream boy. Come home. It's a wagon. Come home. I don't know. When will it be there, I ain't certain. What will it get, I ain't the quick to say. Hey, but who gives a damn? We're on our way.
Deep one again. Watson is right in there. So to it, Allen. And Porterfield! Oh, Porterfield has scored! And Sunderland